Good morning, everybody. It's Chris here from Student Education with the 4 Majors Analysis Update for the 8th of April 2011. We're going to be looking at our CTC strategy template this morning for the Friday, and we're going to have a look at the sterling against US dollar. Just look in the daily time frame and zoom out a bit, and I'll place in my major support and resistance line. Big one in particular is the 1600, and we've also had further resistance at the 1400 mark, so I'm also going to put that one in because price is now testing that area as we speak, which is good. Upside going, you can see the price consolidating and moving higher. No interest rates changes yesterday on sterling. Stayed the same. Price pulled back somewhat, but finished up on the US session slightly higher, and the Asian market has taken that. We've seen a lot of movement in the early hours this morning on the Asian market, back up to test the 1600, 16400 mark. So what next? Well, ultimately, if we want to see further extensions to the upside, then it needs to break the previous high in this case. Very, very important. Otherwise, what we could do is see price revert to the downside again. We've seen it happen twice, and there's no excuse me, reason why it shouldn't do the same unless we actually do see a definite break to the upside and trade higher. So intraday, let's have a look. You can see on our 4 hour, for example, breakout, we definitely had a ceiling level around the 16,3500 mark, and then as we went into the Asian session, the swing highs got higher. So we had this occurring over yesterday. So price was still looking for momentum to the upside because price was still moving higher, and then sure enough we had a break to the upside in trade. Now what we're seeing is a pullback, and that pullback's coming around the 16,400 mark on a 4 hour, so the hourly chart. So if you can stay above 16,3500, ideally you're going to see further extensions around 16,400, or we could use the support area that we saw. This little pullback, it's trading on a pullback and a consolidation over the Asian market session as a potential support area. So 16,3700 could be our little support area intraday. So that's our little support intraday. That's our other support, breaking above it during trading. See that resistance above the in that area, and broken higher. So as long as it's trading higher than that, ideally what we want to do though is see price trading above 16,400, because we've been in the past. We don't want it to slam into that, find that it starts losing momentum, and then we're seeing price revert to the downside because of that. So in my case, I'm putting a little alert on at 1615, 1620. Ideally, but if it's trading above 16,420, then it's really extended, and then we should see a pullback and then possibly further extensions to the upside because of that. So look for breakouts to the upside. If no breakouts, then we could see price reverting to the downside, and if a break below the area I mentioned, roughly around the 1637 mark, then we could see further downside moving to 16,3500 and vice back down to the previous swings. Next up is the euro against US dollar. Same as its counterpart sterling daily. However, on this pair we saw interest rates move up 0.25%. We saw a slight pullback where Mr. Trecker speaking yesterday, he wasn't all that bullish about seeing further interest rates hikes. That's what his speculators were seeing in his tone yesterday, and we saw a pullback. But as the day wore on, we saw price revert to the upside, and as with the sterling this morning, we saw US dollar fall in favor and sterling rise on that. And the same went for euro. So what we're seeing now is the price trading above 14,3500, which is a resistance level for this pair on this time frame. You can see we're trading well above 14,300 mark, and because of that you see a pullback and a continuation, and that's now trading higher. So ideally we should be looking for further extensions of it. CTCs in our favor. There was a resistance level yesterday, so ideally if price can stay above that, then we should be seeing further extensions to the upside. Let me get that. And you can see the swing highs taking place, which is a great sign. This is a 4-hour chart breaking higher, CTCs in our favor. In fact, you can see the little box pattern forming on an hourly chart after the breakout and trade higher. Got to trade higher than that, guys. Must. Got to trade higher than that and close higher to see further extensions to the upside. We don't want to be caught in a fake out, so make sure it's trading high. This is an hourly chart, by the way. Swing highs. Great breakout. You can see how yesterday we saw negativity. Then when Mr. Tricker was having his conference, a lot of speculating was happening, and then as the rest of the day wore on, we saw price reverting to the upside again, using the 50 period moving average as a great support. And then as we saw, if you look at it, a bit of a seeding level. If you disregard the wicks, seeding level, resistance, 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 but still trading higher. And then breakout, pullback, continuation. And now we're sitting in a consolidation pattern, same thing. Very indecisive. Now we need to see further confirmation of a move to the upside. So breaking close higher than the 14,400 mark, we'll definitely see further extensions to the upside. Just one thing to note, as price has been moving to the upside on a daily, you can see that the peaks have got less, and because of that we're now being squeezed. So could we expect end of week consolidation to take place? It could be interesting. So where we're trading right now at the 1440 mark, we could start seeing a change. This is the 4-hour chart. Take the highs, and you can see ceiling level, bang, bang, and you can see price is starting to squeeze now on this level. Resistance, 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 and we've had a stop and consolidation. Break higher than that would definitely confirm that we're seeing further highs being formed. Swiss franc daily, because we've seen the euro and the US dollar move, we've obviously seen Swiss franc fall over. This comes after the pair tested the price support here around the 925.50 mark, and we've seen price fall back to the downside. CTC is still negative across the board because we are still trading in a very negative trend, and we're still trading below all the moving averages. CTC on today's candle has got an arrow, but it hasn't closed yet, so we've got to wait for that to close. But the momentum, you can see the shift, because what's happened now is we're trading lower than the previous swing. You can see on this up move initially, this breakout, pullback, continuation. You can see swing high, swing high, swing high, failed swing. This candle here the previous day, cancel all of that. So yesterday we should have seen further downside movement, and it did happen, did occur, and we saw more this morning on the Asian market. Are we going to see a continuation of that? Because now it's broken the previous support area, that level there, support, support, failure, trading below it. Next area for this would be around the previous support and resistance at 0.908ish, if I'm not mistaken. So there's movement there. Intraday, you can see 4-hour, for example, failure to break higher. What happened is we had this candle, down candle, then we had a pullback, and we're trading at the 61.8% fib mark on a 4-hour time frame. As I mentioned, we could still go down 0.906, 907, still on the cards, yeah. Previous resistance, that was a previous support and resistance level that broke through at 38.2. 61.8 is now the higher the resistance level further back. You can see that. 100% is the next support and resistance line at 0.907, and then 60, the full extension, we're looking way back down to where price initially started this whole move to the upside. So you can see how I'm putting this all together using fib projections. CTC's in our favor on a 4 hour. So Hitesh definitely got in one of our students last night and made 70 pips. And I wonder if he's still in it. He's just got to buy. We'll look for the pullback. There's, I think, a pullback on this. The breakout. Let's see if we can see a continuation of that breakout. All our smaller time frames are negative, as you can see. That's the trend to the downside now, and you can see it's trading thereabouts a previous resist breakout area. Pulled right back. So on a 50-minute, 5-minute, looking for shorting opportunities. Price has got to stay below the 50 and the 200 and the trend line at 0.9135 to see further downside movement. Your first target would be 9100, and then further downside movement. Next up is the last pair of today, US dollar against Japanese yen. Saw some pullback yesterday. Saw this price pull back slightly. Yet again, another earthquake. Poor country. Registered just over 7.4, I think, or 7.1 thereabouts on the Richter scale, in the same area where the other one was previously this month and last month. Apologies. But what it did is we saw price pull back or trade. It traded lower, and then we saw price move slightly higher after Trickett his conference. I think speculators were thinking that he's definitely going to go all guns out to try and help the Japanese economy get back on its feet again. He did mention there was going to be a lot of time and money that needed to be pumped back into the system, but I think the Eurozone was going to do their best to try and play their part in that rebuilding. And then this morning in the Asian market, we've seen price revert to the downside. I think overall, it isn't looking rosy for the Japanese yen. That poor country is going through a lot at the moment now. And you can see that as we speak, this is on a 4-hour trend line. Uptrend is being tested again. The more touch of this, the stronger the trend. Ideally, that trend would have been there. There we go. And we've had a breach now. And now what you're seeing is price moving sideways. It's now testing the support area. This swing, if we see this candle drop lower, that means on a 4-hour, it's formed a new swing low from the high. So you're seeing market change straight away. So straight away you can see the major trend on the 4 hour has been broken. If you had a move, a pullback, an exhaustion candle, if you get another bearish engulfing and it closes below the 20 period moving average, you've got to consider shorts to at least the 84.30 mark, at least, because that's a prior resistance support area. Break below that, then we're looking way back down here to at 8300, and then below that we're looking to a slight pause around about the 8250 mark, and then back down to the 8150 mark, and vice versa. So consolidation, exhaustion for this pair. US dollar ranging, and if you go into the hourly, for example, you can still see that consolidation is definitely a, sorry, let me just get this right, support and resistance line. There's a box there, you can see it's just trading within that range. So 85.50 and 49.90. It's definitely needs to be trading on the other side of that. We don't want something like that happening again. You know, that just fakes people in, and your stop would either be the top here and you would have been triggered out, and we don't want to be doing that. So wait for a definite confirmation break on either side of that to see. But as long as it starts making lower swings, then there's a potential for this pair just to fall over, to roll over, and then we could see price retesting the 84.20 mark, roughly around where the 200 period moving average is moving. There's another small support area at 83.80, which is the 200 period moving average area. So excuse me, CTC is looking like it's going to fall over, but we want to be trading below this range straight away. So make this box nice and thick. Got to be trading. Don't mind giving pips away to the market as long as we're getting the definite confirmation that we're going short in this case. However, does bounce to the upside, needs to be trading higher than 85.50 to be looking for longs. Hey guys, that's it for this week. This week. Looks like we're going to have some fantastic weather. Hope you had a fantastic trading week. They made lots of pips and they're all banked. For those of you still in trades, just be aware by the end of today, if you're still in those markets, to either close them out or to put tight stops in. Just manage them correctly, that's all. You just got to look after your trades while they're moving. So all there is to remain to say is have a fantastic weekend with family and friends, and most importantly, trade streaming.